Okay, we're going to be creating the unit circle. You should know from our special right triangle formulas that when the radius is 1, then the side across from the 30 degrees angle is 1/2, and the side across from the 60 degrees is √3/2. Now here I just flipped the triangle, so we get the same thing. The side across from 30 degrees is 1/2. The side across from 60 degrees is √3/2. For the 45 degree angles, the side across from the 45 degrees is √2/2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put these triangles into a circle. And it's called the unit circle because our hypotenuse or our radius equals 1. So I put this triangle. This angle here is 30 degrees. And then I drew a line straight down here. Can't see it very good on here, but I drew a line straight down. The side across from the 30 degrees is 1/2. The side across from the 60 is √3/2. We're in quadrant 1 here, and if you notice, let me change. If you notice that my 1/2, this is the vertical portion. This is my horizontal portion. So my horizontal portion is √3/2. So the length of my x is √3/2, and the length of my y is 1/2. Now I'm going to take the triangle and flip it, and I'm going to draw it on this side. I have the same values. The side across from the 30 is 1/2, and the side across from the 60 is √3/2. But in this case, since we're in quadrant 2, this portion right here is negative on the x. My y is positive, my x is negative. So I'm going to write this point right here as negative, I'm going to put the negative there, √3/2, comma, my y portion, the vertical portion, is 1/2. Okay? Now, I'm going to flip this over into the third quadrant. If I flip it over, I'm just going to draw it straight down. My circle isn't very good, as you can see. Alright? This again is my 30. The side across from 30 here is 1/2. But since we're going down, this is really negative 1/2. And my x part is still negative √3/2. So this point here, they're both negative. It's negative. Now I'm going to flip it over to the fourth quadrant and draw it right here. In this case, my y is going down right here. So that's going to be negative 1/2. But my x here is positive. So this point here is going to be, my x is going to be positive, and my y is going to be negative. Okay? And you can either, every time you draw your triangles, it should look like this. You can either refer to them as bow ties, and some people like to refer to them as butterflies. Okay. Now, we're going to do the same thing when we go to the 60/30. This time we're just flipping the values. So the side across from 60 is root 3 over 2. The side across from 30, degree angle, is 1/2. So this value here, my x is 1/2, and my y is root 3 over 2. I'm going to flip it over. If I flip it over, it looks something like this. But in this case, my x is negative. Right here, it's negative 1/2. But my y is still positive. So basically, this is going to be x is negative 1/2. And my y is positive root 3 over 2. Okay? Now I'm going to flip it over again. Again, my little circle's not good. In this case, we're still going to use these values and see if you can figure it out from the previous one. I'm going to copy the same thing from here, but they're both going to be negative because I'm in quadrant 3. X is negative and y is negative. In quadrant 2, x is negative, y is positive. In quadrant 1, they're both positive. Okay, so in this case, everything's negative. I'm just going to copy it down, and then when we get to quadrant 3, again, this is not drawn to scale. This point here will be, the x will be positive, the y will be negative. So this is going to be 1/2 and negative root 3 over 2. Okay. Now, next one. So 45 degree angle. In this case, the side across from 45 is root 2 over 2. And they're the same, so it's root 2 over 2. My point, therefore, is going to be root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2. I'm going to draw another triangle. And we already know what this is going to be. It's root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2. But in this case, my x is negative, my y is positive, so I put the negative there. I'm going to draw it down again here. And we get the same point, except both in quadrant 3, they're both negative. So I'm going to have negative root 2 over 2 and negative root 2 over 2. Do it one more time. I'm going to draw it better. So you try to draw a bow tie or butterfly. Again, this does not look that great, but okay, in this case, since my x is positive and my y is negative, I'm going to make this root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2 over 2. Okay? Alright. So on your unit circle, you have to put it all together. You need to know that quadrant 1, it's positive, positive. Quadrant 2, x is negative, y is positive. In quadrant 3, x and y are both negative. In quadrant 4, x is positive, y is negative. Now, in this case, you just fill this out and you go all the way around the circle and fill it out like you did on the previous pages, and you should have something like this. This is how I kind of draw it. Alright, and then the red is going to be the 45 degree one. And the blue is going to be the 60 degree one. So you're just putting it all together. Now, the only thing we left out is our quadrantals. Our quadrantals just mean your 90 degree angles. And for now, what you need to know is that since our radius equals 1, this length here is 1. So what is this point here? Well, our x is 1, our y is 0. Here, my x is 0, so this is the point right here, since this is 1, the length is 1. Here, my x is 0, my y is negative 1. You go through to this side. This is going to be x is negative 1, y is 0. And here, it's going to be 0, negative 1. Now let's fill out the degrees here. So this is going to be your 0 degrees or 360 degrees. This is your 90 degrees. This is 180 degrees. And this is 270 degrees. And we'll be filling this all in, but that's a kind of a basic starter guide.